everyone. And this is just the start of a process. And we have a committee. It's made up of Frank Donato and Keith Dias. And we're overseeing that with a consultant. And there'll be several public meetings. It'll be in the future after the first of the year. And also the board will be involved. And eventually we'll try to come up with the new districts after we have the ample input from all of the community and our consultant and the board right there. But the first thing I think just to mention, this is to kick off a general workshop just to talk dealing about the procedures. Most of that will be done by our consultant Chris Jones. But there'll be 5 additional workshops or events, and there'll be it's available I think on our website. But next one will be January 12th, and we have one February 9th and March 9th and March 23rd, and that'll be the final meeting. So there's plenty of opportunity, and say this is just the beginning. And I think first this meeting, depending on the amount of interest, we can make this as long or as short. We can make it a very short meeting and just go over the basic details, and more of it will be done at a later date after the first of the year. But if there's anybody on who would like to from the public who would like to be able to address the committee or have any input, now's the time to do it. So, and again, we're very informal. So if you don't do it now, if a question comes up a little bit, feel free to say something. But if there's anything at this point, but at this point, I think we'll first I might ask the other committee members. Is there any input at this point, or just go ahead and proceed with our agenda?
This is Keith. I think you're doing fine, George. I have nothing to
add. This is Frank. I'm the same way. Nothing to add.
Okay. I think at this point, Chris, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So you might just take it from here and just go over the general procedure and where we're at and where we're going to be in a few months right there. So we'll turn it over.
All right. This is our first effort at the redistricting process. Every 10 years, the United States federal government conducts a national census for the main purpose is for reapportioning federal representation in Congress. But in addition, the information is used by states and local governments like Avek to redraw their, district boundaries for their legislative representatives, so that we meet the, equal population requirements of the U.S. Constitution. In the case of Avek, we're using this new 2020 census data to revise the boundaries of the 7 director divisions. The purpose of our redistricting is to ensure that each of these 7 directors represent substantially equal, populations in their divisions. We'll be seeking public input throughout this process in this workshop, and then also in our future public hearings in 2022, to provide any, guidance or suggestions that the public has in terms of the process for redrawing the boundary lines. We are required to complete the redistricting process for AVAC by April 17th, 2022. So we have about 4 months to get this process completed so that the new division lines are operational for the 2022 November election. In terms of the existing AVEC divisions, there's 7 of those, as our members certainly know. We have a map showing up there at on the screen. Division 1, which is represented by Director Sorsabal, basically includes the southwestern portion of Kern County and the westernmost portion of the Antelope Valley, along with some of the mountain areas in LA County to the southwest of the California Aqueduct. Basically, as you know, Avek represents northern Los Angeles County and southern Kern County. And so Division 1 basically occupies the kind of the northern part of LA County, along with the westernmost part of southern Kern County. Division 2, which is represented by Director Keith Dias, is the remainder of southern Kern County, which includes California City, Rosamond, Mojave, and Boron. Goes all the way to the San Bernardino County line and includes Edwards Air Force Base. Division 3 is represented by Director Donato. It includes the Leona Valley, Elizabeth Lake, Lake Hughes, and portions of West Palmdale. Division 4, represented by Director Lane, includes Quartz Hill, West Lancaster, parts of Northwest Palmdale, and then some unincorporated territory to the west of Lancaster and Palmdale. Division 5 is represented by Director Rob Harris. It basically includes central Lancaster and parts of western Lancaster. Division 6, represented by Director Audrey Miller, is the eastern portion of Lancaster. And then Division 7, represented by Director Van Dam, includes the Acton, Agua Dulce areas to the south of the Antelope Valley, and the portions of LA County east of Palmdale, Lancaster, all the way to the San Bernardino border. So that would include Little Rock, Sun Village, Lake Los Angeles. I would also note, just for anybody listening in from the public, that a significant portion of the city of Palmdale is not included in Avek because it has its own water agency. So you'll notice that a large portion of the city of Palmdale is not included in our divisions. That's because they have their own water board to handle those issues. In terms of redrawing the district boundaries, there are a number of legal criteria that we will be following. The federal requirement is that that populations for each constituency be substantially equal, so that each of the 7 divisions basically is pretty close in population with the every other division. The state, as part of its recently passed legislation that adds additional requirements for redistricting. That's Assembly Bill 849. And Assembly Bill 849 requires some additional adds additional requirements for redistricting process. And those include to the extent practicable, that AVEC divisions should be geographically contiguous, meaning that they're not unduly separated geographically. They also say, to the extent practical, that the geographic integrity of local neighborhoods should be and communities should be respected, so that we don't have major splits in the different communities. Finally, in addition, the AVEC district boundaries should be easily identifiable and understandable for residents, so that there's that they're bounded by natural geographic barriers and boundaries. In addition, Assembly Bill 849 also requires that where it's practical, and that AVEC divisions should encourage geographic compactness, so that areas of population are not nearby areas are not unreasonably separated and bypassed for more distant populations. And then finally, divisions cannot be drawn for any partisan political purpose. It can't favor or discriminate against any particular political party. So it's a very nonpartisan process. So those are the basic requirements in terms of the legal criteria for AVEC to draw districts. We will be getting public input on that and then putting together maps that fit that criteria and support continuity of a representation for the water agency as well. We have a website that a special redistricting webpage as part of the AVEC website, and the public is invited to participate in this. In addition to testifying in the hearings and participating in our workshop, they can also submit maps if they so choose using our website. We'll also be, as George had mentioned earlier, holding a series of public hearings. The first one will be in January, then February, then 2 in March, to collect public sentiment and input on the redrawing of division boundaries. The goal would be to have those boundaries approved at the March 23rd hearing. We have until, as I mentioned earlier, we have until the 17th of April is the deadline. So we want to try and make sure we, get that completed in plenty of time. The website also lays out some of the other opportunities for other languages for those residents that that don't speak English and need to communicate in Spanish. We have that option for folks as well. And then George had already mentioned the schedule. So basically, we're looking at a hearing in early January, a hearing in early February, and then 2 hearings in March, in addition to this hearing. So that'll be the opportunity for the public to provide their suggestions and guidance on the criteria we should be using. The goal here is to create relative equality of population while maintaining communities of interest, as has traditionally been the case with AVEC, so that communities that share similar interests in terms of water and representation would continue to be together in their divisions. And that pretty much lays out our program. And I would be happy to take any questions from the committee or from the public.
That was a very thorough overview, and gives us where we're at and where we're expected to be in a few months. But this is a 3+ month process. And Chris, like I mentioned earlier, but he'll be doing make sure all the legality requirements are met, and be in drawing the maps based upon the population. And one comment: in past years, in 10-year period, there's been major changes in the Antelope Valley. In the last 10 years, there hasn't been major housing development, so it's not expected the changes will be anything in magnitude of what they were in previous adjustments that were done during the boom cycles of the Antelope Valley. And I think, as Chris just mentioned, if there's any questions or comments from anyone, staff or Chris, we'll make an attempt to answer those. So now's the time if there's any questions. But there'll be plenty of other opportunities. Like I say, this is the first of 5 meeting process. There'll be 4 other meetings. We can have input. Whatever the person would like to say or make improvements in maps or change the map or draw additional maps themselves. That's that's certainly going to have that opportunity, but we're going to do the best, we can with public input. The committee and the board will, and, hopefully it'll be ready to adopt in April.
Right, and we've reached out to community groups and the media, to encourage public participation. In addition, all of our hearings will be in the evening so that we have, maximum convenience for the public to participate. So we've made every effort to, include the maximum amount of public opportunities to participate in this process.
Okay. Keith or Frank, is there any comments this time? Or look like
this is Keith. That was a very good description of the process, Chris. I thank you very much. And I'd like to mention that Chairman Lane made a good point. Over the last 10 years, there has not been a great deal of change in populations of our divisions, so we don't expect any drastic changes. And one of our goals is to minimize disruption to the way that our divisions are drawn and determine who represents the people in the Antelope Valley. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, Frank?
I have nothing to say. I think you guys have both did a good job outlining what's ahead of us.
Okay. I think our next meeting is January 12th. Chris, is there anything further you'd like to comment on?
No, I'll be putting together a draft map for that meeting, and so I'll be sharing that obviously with the staff and the board prior to the meeting. But that'll be our next task will be to take the existing divisions and adjust the boundaries so that the which, as mentioned, probably you do not require significant change, but just to adjust those boundaries so that they meet the population equality standards.
Yeah, thank you. And we had a good presentation, and I think that brings us to the end of our agenda, and look forward to seeing everyone in January. Okay, thank you, and we're now adjourned.
Thank you.